I just want to test my mic. I'm using a new one today. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go mute myself then.
I like your color coordinating mask and shirt, or pattern coordinating.
Hi, everyone. We have about 28 people with us so far. I'm going to wait and let some more people join. I'm going to get us started. We're going to be talking about solution-based approaches today in solar co-ops. I'm going to go over some brief housekeeping really quickly. First, I just want to say welcome to Zoom. Hopefully, we're all experts at this point. To join the audio, you can choose mic and speakers from your computer. You can also, if you're joining via phone, use your telephone audio. And we really want to encourage questions throughout this process. So there are a couple different options to put your questions down and allow us to get back to them whenever we're taking questions. One is to submit them in the chat box. You may already see some notifications lighting up. We have a question in the chat box just saying hi, let us know where you're from. So you may see a blinking orange notification, and that's people sharing where they're joining us from today. So some Texas, lots of Florida. So we're really excited to have a broad swath of people joining us from all over. So you can submit questions in the chat box. You can also click the raised hand icon, and what that will do is let us know that you would like to ask a question, and then we can unmute you if you'd like to ask that verbally. And then for everyone's knowledge, this webinar is being recorded, and you will automatically receive a recording of the webinar in your email after the event has ended. So for some overview today, I'm going to talk briefly about who we are, Solar United Neighbors, touch just very briefly on solar energy just to ground us, and then talk about what a solar co-op is, since that's going to be something that we talk about heavily today, and then what others are doing around Florida and how we can replicate that. That's what we're going to be hearing from our expert panel today. So Solar United Neighbors is a national 501c3 nonprofit. We really got our start in 2007, became a nonprofit in 2011. We're the leading solar education and outreach organization. We're a community of more than 100,000 people across the whole nation, and we like to say that we're building a new energy system with rooftop solar as the cornerstone. are covering 12 states and DC, so as far north as Minnesota, all the way out to Arizona, Texas, and Florida. We are the biggest, not by landmass, obviously. Texas has a seat there, but we are the biggest by number and the brightest, we like to say, program in Solar United Neighbors. So some ways that we work with communities to promote solar education and consumer protection and solar advocacy are by just doing general education about solar energy, by hosting solar bulk buy programs, which we call co-ops, by helping people understand more about electric vehicles and having charger adoption programs, doing solar plus battery, solar plus storage, education and outreach, a lot of youth engagement. We're really excited that we have an official, blessed by the Scouts of America solar patch for Girl and Boy Scouts, and by doing community solar education and adoption in states where they have adopted community solar programs. Here in Florida, where I'm coming to you from, by the way, my name is Kevin Campbell. I'm the Associate Florida Program Director. I just dove right in. But here in Florida, we have launched 57 solar co-ops across the state. And you can see from the little map graphic that we have really covered the whole state all the way throughout the Panhandle down to the Keys. And we've helped over 1,700 homeowners go solar through our programming alone, directly educated over 12,500 homeowners about solar energy. We've helped to install over 16 megawatts of distributed solar. So that's a lot. And then that is going to result in the lifetime offset of 556 million pounds of CO2 equivalent. And then we've also invested 37 million in local economies. This is just our grounding slide on what solar is in the way that we're talking about it. We're talking about solar photovoltaic, solar PV, and it's really a very simple, straightforward solution and technology where the sun shines down on solar panels, whether they be in your yard or on top of your roof, and electrons get excited, produce raw electricity in DC direct current. That flows right into your inverter, which is a part of your solar system that you need to convert that from DC to alternating current, and then straight into your home's main panel, your home or small business or farm, whatever that looks like. And then you use that electricity right there on the spot. Any surplus is going to be sent through your meter back out into the grid for use by your neighbors. So what is the solar co-op model that we're going to be diving into today? Really, this is a grassroots project that is a group of neighbors going solar together. They select one solar installer or solar company to install for the whole group. The benefits are leveraging your bulk purchasing power to get a great price for a quality system. And then throughout the whole process, you have not only the support of one another going together as a group, but from us as subject matter experts and our partners, and then our whole network as well. So a typical co-op by the numbers, they're usually open for 3 months, free to join, no obligation to go solar. Here in Florida, we max them out at 225 members, and that is to maintain quality of service and make sure it's not getting unwieldy. And then on average, 30% of those homeowners who join the co-op do actually go solar with the co-op. The average system size is between 7 and 9 kilowatts. We have usually about 3 or more educational information sessions to educate the public about solar energy, solar financing, the solar co-op itself. One installer services a whole group. On average, we educate 500 or more people throughout this process, and we usually answer about 1,000 emails. So lots of technical and subject support there. You're going to be hearing from leaders all around the state of Florida today, but some things that we've heard about why local governments, counties, and municipalities love using our co-op model is that there's no sales pitch for consumers. We are that trusted, unbiased source of information. We build that consumer trust and are able to really answer some technical and answer technical questions and other questions along the way. We have the technical background to be able to provide that support, and it's plug and play. This is a really rinse and repeat project. It also avoids triggering municipal procurement requirements. The co-op members are the ones who pick the installer, so there is also that community buy-in and that democratic process baked in. And we provide ongoing support, so we don't just go away. We provide continuous support and monitoring and build a network that is also providing support from peer-to-peer learning too. So I'm going to stop talking and let you hear from the people you came to hear from, the experts around the state and our leaders. We have an awesome group today, and we're so grateful that they are giving their time and their experience and going to talk to you about what they've done in their region in Florida. So first, we're going to hear from Jill Horwitz, who is the Senior Environmental Program Coordinator for Broward County. And then Chris Castro, who's the Director of Sustainability and Resilience from the City of Orlando. Susanna Troner is joining us from the Miami-Dade County Office of Resilience, and she's the Senior Resilience and Sustainability Coordinator. And then Michelle Jenkins, the Sustainability Coordinator from Hillsborough Environmental Protection Commission. So we have had the great honor and pleasure to work with this group for years now, and I'm very excited. This is the first time that we've been able to host a webinar like this so that you can hear straight from the source about what they've done and what they have found to be what they found to be the golden nugget, if you will, in making this process work for them.
Hi, Heaven. Thanks. This is Jill Horwitz here. Everybody can hear me okay? Yeah, okay. So thanks so much. You can't see my smile, but I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. Broward County has hosted 3 solar co-ops in the last few years, but I wasn't involved in the first 2. I was involved in the last one. So that was really my introduction to Solar United Neighbors and the process. And you know, at first we're like, how does this work? You know, we do a lot of outreach ourselves. You know, we were questioning the model a little bit. And I'll have to say that it works really, really well. The model works very well. And it's kind of like education, right? Like you get out of it what you put into it. So you could let them just run the whole thing. They do a great job. But we found that we really got excited the more we got engaged in it. We really enjoyed the process of being engaged in it. So I'll, you know, explain it a little bit more as we go through. But you know, I made sure that I joined as well because I wanted to see how the communications worked for the members. I learned a lot about solar energy that I didn't even know, even though I've been into sustainability and climate change for over 20 years. And I even got solar on my own house. So I was on the selection committee. I saw how that whole process worked, and I got solar, and I was really very empowered to do something that I didn't realize I was even myself nervous to do, that I myself even had still the old thinking about, you know, cost or different, you know, impediments that didn't really exist anymore. So I was really, really happy with the process, and we're excited to keep promoting it and keep using it as a wonderful tool in our community. Evan, do you want to advance? Great. So Broward County has 1.9 million people. We're a really progressive county. We have 31 cities, and we are committed to a clean energy future. We've joined the Under 2 Coalition. We have, you know, renewable energy goals, but, you know, our 20% renewable energy goal in our last renewable energy plan was for 2020. And we didn't make it, right? We're not doing enough. So now in the last few years, we've been really focused on like, what actions can we take? What tangible progress can we make besides incorporating climate change into our comprehensive plan and our land use plan and our transportation plans and our water management plans and everything. Besides the planning, what can we actually do? And so we are, if you could just go back one, I forgot something. We're electrifying our entire fleet by 2030, and we're making those electric vehicle charging station infrastructure improvements along the way to support that as well. So that's something that we're really tangibly doing now. Next slide. Thanks. And And we are investing $1 million every year on solar projects at our own facilities. We have 8 projects just this year alone that are in process now. And supporting the co-ops, the solar co-ops, are something really tangible that we can see happen, and we can drive down our streets and see more and more solar going up on our homes and our business roofs. So that's really exciting. And of course, we support all the other ways that people have to go solar too, through our utilities, Solar Now and Solar Together program. We have PACE financing here in Broward. So we're trying to create lots and lots of opportunities. We partner with SELF as often as we can, which I think you'll hear about later. So just trying to make solar available for everyone in any type of situation that they're in. We have 31 cities in Broward County, and so I work really closely with our cities to coordinate climate and sustainability policies and programs and activities. And so when we wanted to get the word out about the co-op last year, we said we want to have 5 information sessions throughout our community. Which cities want to host one, and the hands just flew up immediately. I hadn't gotten responses that quickly to any question in a long time. Okay, usually it's like crickets when I ask something, like a survey or something, but to host a solar workshop, everybody wanted to join in. We had to limit it, unfortunately, to 5 cities, which was great. There was really good feedback, and getting other local governments involved as partners really helped, because they found the venue, which took time off of our plate, and also like they were advertising it through their like little neighborhood newsletters and different ways of promoting it that was more small scale and local. So we had everybody talking about it. We had ads on the radio. We had TV screens in all county facilities promoting it with a screen like this. We had it at our libraries. We had it at our seaport. We had it at our airport. We had it in newsletters to the commission and from the commission. So we really worked really hard to promote it in all of our neighborhoods. And you can see through this little table here that we had 18 cities that had solar projects in them. So mostly in Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood, but pretty good spread throughout the county, which is really exciting. Because here in South Florida, I mean, we're at ground zero. Like, climate adaptation and climate mitigation are 2 sides of the same coin. We have to be really aggressively targeting the risk and increasing our resilience to climate impacts and flooding and heat and all those other impacts that we're already experiencing. And we have to be drastically reducing our contribution to that by reducing the emissions. So like I said, in our climate action plan, in all of our plans, we're talking about mitigation and adaptation, but the solar co-op helps us to realize that. And it's one of 100 strategies that we have in our climate action plan, but it's one of my favorites. So in total, over the last 3 co-ops that we've done, we've educated, 678 people directly at info sessions. Almost 100 have gone solar with $2 million invested in the local economy, and almost 33 million pounds of greenhouse gases offset. So we're just really, really excited. And our next solar co-op launches next week. So let's keep it going.
Thank you so much, Jill.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to hear from Susanna Troner. And I did want to just have everybody share, and then we're going to have the discussion all at the end.
To unmute myself. Hi, everyone. Jill's a hard act to follow, but I kind of anticipated that she and the other presenters were going to kind of delve into the details, and I didn't want to be very repetitive in terms of things like benefits that we all realize. So I kept my presentation very short, but I'll get started now. I'm just going to go over, sorry, could you go to the next slide? I'm just going to go over our office, our county commitments, how do the solar cooperatives fit into our goals, and in what way have we supported the cooperatives. Our mission is fairly standard in terms of I think for most sustainability or resilience offices, you know, we focus on the triple bottom line, resiliency and sustainability for both our internal stakeholders as well as the external community. It's interesting that we don't, in our county, our board has never set a specific renewable energy or solar goal yet. We do have a long-standing commitment to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. That was set very early on in 2008. We were one of the founding members of ICLEI. So we've been tracking our emissions way before it became popular or kind of a standard best practice. So we've had that commitment in place. If you ask the staff, it seems quite unlikely that we will meet that commitment, but we're still, just as Jill said, we're really looking to try to find practical solutions to moving the needle, down any way we can. We did have a Green Print sustainability plan that was released in 2010, and it's kind of funny what we did. It was really a staff decision to kind of put in this aspirational goal, but because we had no board directive or no board set goal, what we did was kind of a roundabout way of trying to encourage renewable energy by basically saying that we wanted to reduce non-renewable energy. So it was a little bit convoluted, but that's how we were trying to get it into our sustainability plan in some way. Next slide, please. So one of the, just along those same lines, one of the primary or the primary reason why we're interested in solar is, as Jill had mentioned, that a significant amount of our climate pollution in our particular community, our inventory is showing us 37%, is related to electricity consumption in residential and commercial buildings. So in order to move the needle towards reductions, we need to definitely start to use more solar. And then of course there are many other benefits for the community. Everybody, I think, recognizes those, so I won't go into too much detail. But one of the things that I will mention, in addition to air pollution improvements and the health improvements related to that, resiliency aspects, excuse me, for when the grid goes down, because, well, my electricity went off 2 times this week. So, but when you couple that with battery backup, which is becoming more standardized and less expensive, that definitely helps in terms of disaster recovery and just, everyday kind of resiliency. But one thing I did want to mention also is that I think that when you have solar as your energy supply, your pricing is more consistent than the volatility that's can be sometimes associated with electricity consumption, in particular when we manage a lot of very large buildings, and so we get demand charges in our buildings, so it could help to stabilize that situation. But that's really more for government operations or for larger building management. Also, I just wanted to mention, aside from the community benefits from the government operations perspective, we have kind of it's not a selfish reason, but a more internally focused reason, is because we're the #1 electricity user in FP&L's territory, and we spent a heck of a lot of money on our electricity. So we spend about $100 million a year to pay for our electricity. So obviously, any savings that we can find there, we can reinvest in desperately needed community services. Thank you. This slide is just showing, I just have a little snapshot of our budget book to show that while we don't have a a directive or like a resolution from our board to like with a certain solar goal, we do have direction from the board who sets our budget that our office is charged with not only working on renewable energy, but facilitating education and outreach and focusing on innovative solutions to create jobs and economic opportunities. And we feel that the solar cooperatives kind of hits all three of those things. Next slide, please. And then the way that we got started with the solar cooperatives is that I'm not sure how it is for other communities, but we're a very large jurisdiction with 2.7 million people. So for that reason, we have like people perceive us as having like deep pockets, and we have a huge workforce. And so we get, not when I say we, I don't just mean our office, I mean the whole county gets so many requests from you know, nonprofits to assist with different endeavors, and for-profit businesses to you know, partner with them on things. And so it can become very hard to manage all of those requests. And so we have a more formal process in our county to kind of handle all of those requests and to provide approval for staff time to be spent on different efforts. And so the process is typically that the board has to pass some kind of resolution or approve an agreement, or you know, some type of formal recognition that there will be staff time devoted to a particular effort. And so that was done in 2017. That was the process that we went through with the solar cooperatives. And so I have the link there with our, to our resolution that was passed. And then once that happened, I can just talk a little bit about the activities that we have done. We've had a number of cooperatives, and one of the things that I think, Kevin, you can maybe explain this a little bit better, but the cooperatives are given a particular name, and they're set, this is my understanding, they're given a particular name and they're set for a particular period of time. So it might be like the Miami-Dade Public School Teachers Cooperative. And it's just given that name to try to encourage perhaps that larger group to participate, but it's really open to anybody. You don't have to be a public school teacher, or you don't have to, you can be anybody from the community can join that cooperative. And so we've had several with different names. What we've generally done, I was saying to Heaven before that I was like, I don't really feel that we've done that much, but the couple of things that we've done is that we've helped to find locations for the community educational meetings. And for some of those educational meetings, we've provided staff assistance, which basically we just help to check people in. Sometimes we would bring extra laptops and iPads to get people registered and kind of talk them through the process. Really more just administrative assistance at those meetings. We did have a couple of glitches with permitting when the cooperatives were first starting here. And so our office tried to facilitate meetings with the permitting staff to try to get those procedures worked out. We, of course, promoted the cooperatives, and we continue to do that. We put little articles in our newsletter, and we have a communication staff person who tweets out different information that Laura, our local representative, sends to her. We have a posting on our website about the cooperatives. And then next slide. And then the only thing that I feel that we kind of invested more energy into was that there was one cooperative where we agreed, we had an agreement with FL Sun that we would have a cooperative focused on Miami-Dade County employees. And for that one, we definitely spent more time basically trying to reach out to our employees, trying to get them interested. We chose to have the educational sessions at several key locations in the county where we have large office buildings with thousands of staff members. So we tried to, make those locations, those that would be the most productive in terms of investing time and having an education session. And then we went to all of those meetings and provided staff assistance, whereas for the other cooperatives, we would occasionally provide assistance, but for this particular cooperative, we went to every single education session. But as a whole, I think that, it's probably different for different communities, but our level of time investment has been very minor in comparison to, other things that I work on. And so I appreciate that. And that's about it for my presentation.
Thank you so much. And here are just some key stats from Miami-Dade. We have had a lot of co-ops there, a record 9, and something unique that we actually didn't plan, but everyone who is speaking today has an open co-op in their area or one about to launch. So that's an ironic occurrence here. And next, we're going to hear from Chris Castro, and I also have to give him a shout out. This whole webinar came out of a conversation that we had almost a year ago now. So this is Chris's fault.
Thank you, Heaven. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm having some technical issues on my end, but I think we'll be able to get through this. Excellent presentations from Jill and Susanna. Great to see you all, and I look forward to hearing from Michelle as well. And a huge thanks to Emily with Solar United Neighbors and helping us to continue accelerating the work here in Florida. Again, my name is Chris Castro. I work at the City of Orlando. I've been here for the last 6.5 years, serving as the senior advisor to our mayor, Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, on all things sustainability, resilience, and climate related, and have helped to establish an Office of Sustainability and Resilience, which I direct at the City of Orlando. If you can go to the next slide. I'm very active in the community, also chair the state's Clean Energy Research Institute. It's called the Florida Solar Energy Center, for those who haven't heard of it, FSEC for short. And I also went solar through the co-op this past year in December, and I've been impressed at how successful that went and how much of a no-brainer it is. I'm literally saving $50 on average per month from day one, and that includes paying the loan payment and everything. So like straight up cash flow positive from day one. It's amazing. So little overview on our sustainability and resilience efforts. This is something that Mayor Dyer has had as a priority over the course of his administration, and really launched a concerted effort in 2007 called Greenworks Orlando. That's the brand that we've been going off of. And I think Susanna and Jill did a great job explaining what we do in these offices of sustainability and resilience, but they're all internal facing as well as external facing. So we work with various departments and divisions within the city, but also across the community with our utility, our transit authority, the airport, academic institutions, our business chambers, and of course, our neighborhood residents, to advance this culture of sustainability, social equity, and economic vitality. So it's really rooted in the triple bottom line. We have these 7 key focused areas that you can see there. And today we'll be talking about some of our clean energy strategies. Next. So a lot has been talked about in terms of the solar co-ops, and I wanted to give you a kind of a broader idea of the work that cities have been doing, many of us on this call, to accelerate solar within our community. It's important to note, if you could go to the next slide, it's important to note that solar jobs is the fastest growing job in the state of Florida and 12 other states across the country, and it has been for the last 3 years in a row. It's pretty amazing. If you go back one slide. It's pretty amazing to see, and I'm under the impression and truly believe that the greatest economic and job creation opportunity of the 21st century is advancing a clean energy future. So first of all, we set a goal back in 2017 to transition the entire city of Orlando to procuring 100% of our electricity from renewables for municipal operations by the year 2030. All of our wastewater treatment plants, our venues, our city hall and police and fire stations, etc. And then citywide, every home, every business, every hotel, every theme park powered by clean renewable electricity by 2050. Next. So we've set some pretty ambitious goals. I should note also that we have a 90% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2040 and net zero emissions by 2050. So very ambitious climate goals that are driving the renewable strategy as one core way to get there. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that our strategy is really looking at ways to reduce, then produce as much as we can before we start to make major investments into renewables. And so at the city, we've done over $20 million of energy efficiency investments using a green bond that we took out in 2017. And now we're saving over $2 million per year in operational expenses for the city that, again, are helping us to be more efficient and reduce our impact. But in addition, we have two programs that I wanted to highlight that are targeting low and moderate income communities. One of them is called Efficiency Delivered through our utility. The other one's called SELF. We talked, Jill mentioned SELF earlier, a nonprofit clean energy lender that really has been around here in Orlando since 2016. We were able to bring them to establish a regional headquarters, and essentially they offer low interest financing to low and moderate income communities that target not just renewables, but also efficiency, resilience, and even water and sewer improvements, and even disability products for your home. Both of these programs really are trying to address the challenge of energy burdens and really minimizing the overall energy use within our city. Next. So this slide is kind of a catchment all of the things that we're doing. I want to mention the Soul Smart designation for those cities that are out there looking at how do we improve our internal processes to enable more solar adoption in our cities. The Solar Foundation has created a certification called Soul Smart that basically designates your city and how friendly you are to enabling rooftop solar. And they really look into the land development codes, solar rights, permitting, inspection processes, and the like. And we're fortunate to have really worked on improving those systems and have achieved Soul Smart Gold certified. Encourage you all to look into it as well. We have about a 1.5 megawatts of city rooftop solar projects currently in the process, in the pipeline. 5 of them are going through permitting as we speak on rooftops for our fire department and some of our neighborhood centers. And the idea here is that year over year, part of our capital improvement plan will include funding in order to install rooftop solar and therefore by 2030 achieve that 100% goal that we talked about. We also have an initiative to expand over 100 EV charging stations. We're not talking EV though, so I'll move to the next point, and that's in collaboration with our utility, OUC, and I will caveat that Orlando Utilities Commission is a solely owned subsidiary of the city of Orlando, so it's a municipal electric and water utility. And we have been doing a lot to ramp up our solar capacity. Just this past month, 3 weeks ago, we brought on 108 megawatts of utility scale solar, which is more than an 820% increase in the amount of solar we have on our grid. We have another 150 megawatts of solar that's currently being installed and being developed and will come online by the end of 2022. So a lot of investment going into solar, and as the utility expands community solar, one of the images there on the bottom right is on a coal ash landfill. So we're taking brownfield sites like this coal ash landfill, we're getting approvals, and we're adding ground mounted PV on those. And the city is the anchor tenant. So we've been, every time OUC adds a new solar farm, we claim some of that solar farm for city operations, and now have 20 megawatts of city operations being offset by renewable energy systems. Of course, when we start to pivot towards the community and what we can do to enable more solar, that's where Solar United Neighbors of Florida really comes into play. This model of solar co-ops has been proven, especially for the state of Florida, given some of the regulatory challenges we face at the state. It's been proven to be the most cost-effective and streamlined way for any resident to go solar. And not only is it cost-effective for the city, it's relatively nominal to work with Florida Sun to lift up one of these programs in your communities, but more so, as you heard from Jill and Susanna, the amount of community engagement and outreach and involvement that FL Sun really encourages our communities around when these co-ops are up and running is tremendous. We have had a goal since January 2019 to add 1 megawatt of rooftop solar in the community by the end of 2020. So in a 2-year period, our goal was to see if we could facilitate 1 megawatt over that 2-year period. And I'm happy to say that the first co-op we launched, which was August of last year, August 2019, ended up being the most successful solar co-op in the state of Florida. I did want to mention that. We installed over 720 kilowatts of new solar capacity, which, as you can imagine, is very close to achieving that 1 megawatt goal just with one co-op. And now we're in the process of our second co-op, which we launched on World Environment Day on June 5th. And we have a good amount of people signed up. Forget the number off the top of my head, but I think it's over 160 signups now, and a lot of interest in the program. And so even during COVID, we're seeing that families are reaching out and they're interested in ways in which they can control, be energy sovereign, and control their own future as it relates to their utility bills. We also have some energy storage pilots that we're going specifically at neighborhood centers, where we're starting to test how energy storage plays a role for the grid, for grid services, as well as for any types of demand reduction for the city to save us some money. And we're also looking to improve 5 of our community centers to be resilience hubs for the community as well. And I could dive into details on that. Next, I wanted to quickly just show you an example of one of our rooftop systems at our Fleet and Facilities headquarters. So there on the left-hand side, that's the largest rooftop system we have on a city facility. That's a 420 kilowatt system. And on the right, you see design for what's now 100% completed design for an additional 250 kilowatt solar carport that will essentially shade a lot of the vehicles you see on the left-hand side, will shade those vehicles and provide conduit to 30 EV charging stations for city fleet vehicles. We are also transitioning our fleet to 100% electric and alternative fuel by 2030. So a lot of strong commitments for sustainability and climate. The last thing I'll say is around some of the innovation that we're working on in Orlando. And for those who haven't heard about this concept of photovoltaics, we've actually been testing solar on retention on water bodies, so floating solar on these water bodies. These are not spring. In short, we've become, and so we got a big grant in November of last year for $2 million to begin testing. And what you see here is the schematic of a new 120 kilowatt floating solar array that will come to our airport this fall. So it's currently going through permitting as we speak. So really cool stuff on kind of the bleeding edge of where we might see solar technology move into the future. And you can see Orlando's co-op successes here. This is greater Orlando area, but we've done 7 co-ops and a tremendous amount of investment in our local community. So hopefully you all are getting inspired and wanting to do the same in your neck of the woods. With that, I'll turn it back to Heaven, and looking forward to your questions later on. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. And I did want to specify that we drilled it down, and this is just Orlando, so you don't have to be humble here. This is just Orlando stats, and Orlando's been very awesome in allowing all of Orange County to participate in their co-ops as well. Next, we are going to hear from Michelle Jenkins with Hillsborough County, another veteran of our programming.
Thank you, Heaven, and thank you for putting together such a great group of panelists. I feel honored to be a part of it. when I was telling a colleague about it, they said, just don't go after Chris Castro in Orlando because he does such a great job of presenting. But Jill and Susanna also did a fabulous job. And I think everybody's kind of highlighting some unique points as they relate to solar. So again, I'm Michelle Jenkins, and I'm with the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County. We're the local environmental protection agency and are part of Hillsborough County government. We're also an independent agency due to our legislative creation, but we work very closely with Hillsborough County, and we share their goals in building a sustainable community. So the county asked us to help facilitate and manage the initiative, and our first initiative started in 2017. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're located in the Tampa Bay area, and we encompass over 100 square miles with more than 1.4 million people. While Hillsborough County doesn't really have a formal guiding document that outlines or pledges an obligation to solar, but we are working on it. We are working on building a sustainable action plan and making various commitments as we move forward. The county is still very committed to solar energy and the power of the Florida sun. And I say that with the pun intended, because working with Solar United Neighbors has really been an incredible experience. They're a great organization. They've been wonderful to work with, knowledgeable, dedicated, and devoted to solar education, solar energy rights, and I really can't say enough about them. For more than a decade now, Hillsborough County has been implementing solar energy technologies throughout the community. And it started with a 196 kilowatt rooftop system on the county courthouse and has really grown from there to over 1.2 megawatts of solar energy on county facilities. The county recognizes the numerous benefits from investing in solar, from cost effectiveness to environmental protection, resiliency, hardening, and economic growth. But really it's more than that. Their actions serve as an example to the community to illustrate that the technology is worth investing in. And it's a win-win on so many levels. That's why at all of the 7 libraries that have solar on their roofs, they've incorporated an education component with TV monitors and a live feed to show the power generation and educate the public on solar energy. Next slide, please. And really, this is all just a start. In 2019, the Board of County Commissioners approved a $5 million bond for solar projects over 3 years. So the county has embarked on a full assessment of all of its 500 plus facilities, and they're looking at large projects and small projects, from rooftops to parking canopies, building awnings, curtain walls, floating solar, and even a microgrid. To determine if solar is a good fit. In addition, every new county construction project must be assessed for possible solar technology. One of the innovative projects that is planned is a 2 megawatt solar system that will be installed on the Valrico wastewater treatment plant, which will save the county approximately $500,000 a year in electric cost, while also hardening the critical infrastructure. And taking advantage of these multiple benefits is a priority for the county. And they come in all different sizes. And that's why they've integrated solar technology into hundreds of traffic control devices around the county. Not only do they cut energy costs and emissions, they build resiliency and enhance public safety as they can continue to function during times of emergency when the power goes out. And as you could see, our community partners also have recognized the benefits of solar, with IKEA and TIA that have invested in large systems. And even our own local utility, TECO, has plans for over 600 megawatts of solar power by 2021. Solar obviously is a great idea, and so we wanted to promote it to our residents. In fact, one of our county commissioners went on record to say that she wanted to see solar on every rooftop in Hillsborough County. So at the end of 2017, the county partnered and helped to fund the first solar co-op. when it got off to a great start even before the launch. Our coordinator at the time had said that Hillsborough County had a lot of pent-up desire for rooftop solar, and she was right. Basically, as soon as we launched, we had to cap it because we had over 200 participants, and we started a second solar co-op. We called them A and B at the time. But it was a great success. And you can see in 2019, we launched our second or third co-op, and the numbers went down a little bit, but the number of educated residents remained strong. And so we're very proud to know that we're continuing to educate residents as they move forward. And sometimes that will pay off years down the line. People might not be ready right now, but they're still getting educated. So there's many, many great benefits. Next slide, please. And so we wanted to keep the trend going. And while COVID did create a challenge in our launch plans this year, we actually have a retired World War II ship and museum in Tampa, the American Victory, and they had expressed some interest in installing solar, and we were really hoping to launch from the ship. We thought that would have been really, really cool, but that wasn't a possibility. So we talked with our coordinator, and they shared some of the other innovative and great ideas that some of the other co-ops were doing around the state to launch virtually. And so we asked all of our partners to create a short video. I think we had about 12 videos that came in, and we launched on July 15th and shared those videos throughout the day. Our first session was last week, and I think at the time that I put this together, we had, well, it was 45 members, but I got an update this morning and it's over 100. So it doubled in a week. So we're really excited. The virtual launch and the virtual info sessions have really been quite successful. I was a little skeptical at first, but it really has worked out well. I think that it allows people flexibility, and they can kind of tap into it on their time instead of ours when we're hosting an event. But we've issued our RFP, and are thrilled with the success that we're seeing. Next slide, please. And finally, I just wanted to say a quick note about our incredible partners. I would encourage any government organization that's considering moving forward with a solar co-op to tap into your partners. We share the same mission that many of our local agencies do, and it really benefits to leverage off of that in outreach and getting the word out and tapping into the different audiences. So I think that's about it for me, but thank you for allowing me to share our solar story.
Thank you all. So I will also be sending out this presentation for everyone to have as a reference. And then I did want to quickly mention, because we have a lot of municipalities and counties joining us today, that there is a solar app opportunity that the National Renewable Energy Lab, which is the government think tank on renewable energy, is looking for people to opt into. So here's some information on that. And again, I will be sharing this more broadly. And you will also get this YouTube link down at the bottom, which has the videos that Michelle referenced. And it has some from Orlando as well, and Miami-Dade County. So I encourage everyone to check out our Florida playlist and see local leaders in their natural habitat. Michelle actually is at a local park and has a beautiful background, and see how they are promoting the co-op in their area. So now I will look in the chat box, see if we have any questions. Definitely feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to verbally ask a question, and I will address what I find in the chat box too.
Yeah, Heaven, one question we have from someone is, what's the role of a co-op partner in the group? You want to answer that, or you want me to take that?
Does one of our panelists want to take that?
Did the person mean, what's the role, for example, of Southern Alliance for Clean Energy and Sierra Club? Is that the question?
I think so, yeah.
I can't answer that question, sorry.
Well, in Orlando, one of the fellow partners is also Self. We talked about them as a finance program, and so when we're doing the virtual sessions, we have a couple of slides on Self, and we encourage people who are interested in financing their solar to look at Self as a potential viable alternative. So that's one. The other ways that some of the partners help is just being a distribution channel, helping to get the word out to their members and use their social media and their newsletters and their outreach to get the word out about this co-op. And that's the one thing I've loved about this. I mean, I think in Orlando, there's at least a dozen different organizations, from League of Women Voters to Ideas for Us to Sierra Club and SACE and many others that are all, that look at these solar co-ops as something that all of them can work together to advance in the community. Many of them have the same goals around accelerating renewable energy adoption. And so this has truly become kind of a great solution for our communities, given the challenges that we're facing at the state.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And I would also say that we consider our governmental partners as well. So that role can be anything from funding a co-op to come to your area to the same thing, helping with outreach, getting the word out, putting it in your newsletter, sharing on government social media. So it's just a great way to help reach more people. And then somebody had raised their hand, Terry Willingham. So I'm going to unmute you. Terry, are you able to talk?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chris indicated that from a financial standpoint, it was almost a no-brainer that you get a positive cash flow from day one. But it looks like from the stats of the number of people educated versus the number of people signed up, that only about 10% of the people signed up. So what's holding people back?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, everybody's in a different financial situation. Some people sign up for the first time ever hearing about solar technology just to learn. And we encourage any resident that's interested in exploring solar on their rooftop to join as a member of our solar co-op, regardless of whether they're gonna actually move forward with installing it. Obviously, the idea behind these co-ops is achieving an economies of scale that allows every co-op member who is interested in investing to invest at a better price point. And so we've seen between 15 and 20% reduction of the total price point compared to the market, right? A traditional market, if I would have went myself versus going with 200 of my neighbors. And so there's a ton of benefit there. I'll tell you, I was thinking that it wouldn't be cash flow from day one, but I'll give you a little example. My utility bill was ranging between $150 and $180 a month regularly. I was able to get a really good loan. Self wasn't around at that time, but I went through SunGauge, got a 10-year loan at 3.9% interest, and basically I pay $100 per month and then $11 to the utility to be a customer, because of course these are net metered systems, the majority of them. You still have to be a net metering customer and you pay that customer fee. And so I pay $111 a month all in, and my solar is producing more than my capacity by a long shot. I have banked about 800 kilowatt hours of credit that I've rolled over. And so I basically have almost an entire month of solar credits that have been banked. And this system turned online in January. So, yeah, it's been interesting because literally I'm saving about $50 a month when you look at going from $150 to $180 down to $111 and having all of my power being offset. So it is a phenomenal economic investment. And I think it's one of the best ways for us to invest in our homes and our infrastructure and contribute to the climate crisis.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll just add, this is Emily with Solar United Neighbors. We've done some follow-up surveys of co-op members, and we find that for every one person that goes solar in the co-op, there's typically 4 to 5 that are going solar over the next couple of years on their own. So obviously we hope we can get everyone to go solar in the group, but for some folks, they come, they learn, you know, it's not quite the right time for their budget, or maybe they need to replace their roof. And so they still have gained the knowledge and connected with us. And then over time, we find that a lot of folks end up going solar further on, later on.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Like, the co-ops are usually open for 3 months. We had our last one open for longer, just to capture more people. But you do have to be at that moment where you're educated on it and you're ready. And it takes time. Like, even though I went to all the info sessions and I'm like the market, right? Like, I'm an environmentalist, like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Even still, it was probably the 3rd info session that I sat through that it really got into my head that, like, this was something that I personally should do, right? Like, with my own money. Like, it takes time to kind of process it and to see the numbers and think about, like, where you are with your house and your investments to be ready. And so not everyone's ready, but we're getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people ready every time we go through the co-op. And some of them do it through the co-op, some do it outside, and that's fine, but it's getting that information and that news out there. And you know, we have, Chris, you're pretty good. I have a pretty bad energy bill. It was more like $150 to $250 a month. And I was looking at the charts that Sun was providing and the paybacks, and looking at my investments, my retirement investments, and they weren't doing so well at the time. And I'm like, I'm not gonna create a loan. I just took money out of some bad investments and I put it into my home on solar, which I consider a very good investment, because I'm going to be making, you know, 2/3 of my, you know, 3 times the money back in that, right? But most people they don't think about the amount of money they pay the utility every month through the lifetime. And they don't add up that total. If you add up that total of what you pay your utility for 25 years, then suddenly, you know, 10 or 20,000 of upfront costs doesn't look like so much anymore. But to most people, you see that 10, 20,000, you're like, oh my God, how would I get that right now? So it's just about kind of looking at it through different lenses and thinking about it in different ways so that people feel a little bit more secure. I'm looking at a 7 to 8 year payback. And then, you know, I won't have an energy bill for the rest of the 25 years. And so for me, that's part of my retirement plan now. So it's just about kind of flipping it and giving people options of thinking about it in ways that they're comfortable with, you know?
Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Like I said, this is recorded and will be sent around. I'll also send around the presentation. And here is everyone's information. I encourage you all to follow along and reach out to us. Our information will be in the follow-up email and was also shared in the chat box a few times. We had quite a few requests for how to get in touch with us. So we hope to hear from everyone. We hope this was educational, and thank you so much to our panelists for sharing all of your great work.
A pleasure.
And just to echo, although all of these wonderful folks have had this experience in Florida, we do work in other states. And so regardless of where you're located, if you're interested in a co-op or some solar education, don't hesitate. Florida's a pretty awesome program, but we've got some other, you know, work all over the country too.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Be safe, everybody, and go solar.